Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Please continue to subscribe. We've really been growing lately, just leaps and bounds. So really cool stuff. We appreciate you. Make sure you share it. If you love it, share it with everybody you know. If you don't like it, keep your mouth shut. It's guy code, right? Yeah. I mean, just move on. Move on if you don't like us.
Hey, bros before hosts. Come on.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And if you don't like us, up yours. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. We got some breaking news as we're talking here right now. Fresh news with the Jets, and it's the Jets, so it's not great. It's the poor Jets. Justin Fields pulled up during a passing drill, went down, ended up leaving with what they're saying is a toe injury. Severity of it unknown.
Yeah.
But Tyrod Taylor took over and did the rest of the drills. But, man, I mean, this is just the last thing the Jets need. There was a sense with Justin Fields that, hey, maybe he's ready to take off at this stage of his career. It's a good signing, a good pairing for the Jets and Justin Fields, but already a bit of a setback.
Obviously, you hope that it's nothing too serious, although toe injuries are really interesting. Like, toe injuries are what ended Deion Sanders' career. Yeah. Like, toe injuries are those things, like, you don't realize how much weight, like the distribution of weight, the pounds per square inch you put on the toes, you don't really realize it until it's injured, right? Mm-hmm. Until you hurt it, and then you realize, damn, this thing takes a lot of weight. This thing, is one of those things that really hurts you. I will look at this, Mike, as it could be devastating to the Jets. It could be devastating to Justin Fields. It could be a blessing in disguise. Because I think the thing you look at with Justin Fields is we know what the number one aspect to his game is. And that is his ability to threaten the edge of a defense with both running and the RPO game. And that's really his strength. And that's what keeps people up at night. Like, talking to Dan Campbell about facing Justin Fields when he was with Chicago, he goes, he's the guy that keeps me up at night. Because how do you account for that as a defense? How do you account for his ability to get those hidden yards, to make those big plays with his feet, to create the RPO game? So if you're running the snot out of the ball, like when you think of run-pass option, right, really what you're doing is if you're running read zone, think about the read zone running game where you either hand it off or you keep it and take it around the edge. You're basically optioning end man on the line of scrimmage or somebody on the line of scrimmage, right? So if it's a defensive end, you flag that ball out there. If he plays wide and kind of surfs, you hand the ball off inside, let the running back go. If he pinches down hard, you pull the ball and you get to the edge. Well, the RPO game is exactly the same thing, except instead of leveraging or affecting, putting the guy in conflict on the end of the line of scrimmage, you're putting the second level defender in conflict. So is it the linebacker or the safety on that side? So now all of a sudden I block the defensive end as opposed to optioning him, and I put that ball in there. If the linebacker steps up, I got a glance route right behind it. So he steps up, bam, throw the slant. Right? If he falls deep, I hand the ball off because I'm blocked, and now I have an automatic 4 yards. And you've got to have the athleticism, the ability to move around if you're the quarterback to affect the end of the line of scrimmage on either RPOs or zone reads. Okay, so that's how those two things work. And that's really what he's good at. What he needs to improve upon is his pocket awareness and his pocket throwing. And one of the things I said about, I'm doing a game early in his career, Mike, and, I did what I do. I studied 3 games. I looked at 3 games before I went to call the game. And one of the things I said on the broadcast is Justin Fields from the pocket reminds me of me on the tee box. I will shank 15 shots and they'll just be awful. But then I pipe that one 325 yards down the middle. I'm like, damn, I just learned how to play golf. And for him, man, you would watch him out of the pocket going, he's like off on that throw. The timing was bad on that throw. That one got picked off. Then all of a sudden he's got a dagger concept, right? The inside slot receiver's running off coverage, and here comes the outside receiver at 18 yards, and he just lets it eat, and it's just, wow. And you're like, damn, that was a throw, right? Or it's a seam, right? And it's just perfect down the seam, over the underneath coverage, in front of the safety before the safety has a chance to break on it. And it's just a dime piece. bam, and the guy's down the seam for a touchdown. Like, this could be the blessing of this could be like, hey, man, for a while, he's not as efficient running the ball. He's nursing that toe injury. So we've got to adjust our offense a little bit and make him play from the pocket a little bit more. And all of a sudden, you could develop some skills. So hopefully it's not a serious injury. And hopefully while he's kind of recovering from it, he just continues to grow as a pocket passer, which he has done year in and year out. But that's really the weakness of Justin Fields.
And so you're saying he still has to get to that point if he ever wants to be considered an above-average quarterback, because no matter how much quarterbacks have gotten more and more athletic, you still have to be able to dominate from the pocket. That hasn't changed.
Right. And you look at Lamar Jackson, how much better Lamar has gotten over the course of his career from the pocket. Like, you can mitigate your issues from the pocket by being able to expose the edge with the zone read game, the RPO game, all those different things, right? That you do, the quarterback run game, the design quarterback run game, whether it's power, counter, whatever it is. So you can mitigate some of that pocket, the lack of pocket presence. But eventually, to be a world champion, you've got to, when it's nut cutting time, you got to be able to make a throw from the pocket that you hit the play action, or you hit the fifth step, man, and you hitch up and you get that secondary target. That, like, you got to be able to do that stuff from the pocket, in my opinion, to actually win a championship.
Let's play a little bit of 6 degrees of Justin Fields. He was in Pittsburgh last year with Russell Wilson. They both got a chance to start. Russell Wilson now with the Giants, and he got the endorsement. Brian Daboll coming out and saying that Russell Wilson is going to be the starter, and it's a pretty clear-cut choice.
Yeah. Well, which doesn't surprise me. I've said it many times on this podcast and on television before I got fired. But I've said it many times that I would go with Jackson Dart, and I just shit can Russell Wilson, because I think I know what he is. Right. And like, there are things that he does exceptionally well. There's no question that he can throw the deep ball exceptionally well. And I mean, he puts this arc on it. It just turns over every single time. It is right there. He is as good as anybody that's ever been. He's the best deep ball thrower in America. And outside the numbers, man, he does a good job with that stuff. It's the middle of the field that he has a tough time controlling, some of his height, some of his lack of awareness on those things. So, like, those are the things that are the issues. And a lot of people, and this is where I guess I have a philosophical difference with a lot of people. A lot of people say, hey, Brian Daboll needs to save his job, so he's got to win games right away. And my perspective is, at what point does Russ turn over the reins to Jackson Dart? Is it week 6 or week 5 or whenever they play New Orleans? Will that be the first time that Jackson Dart gets to start because it's New Orleans and we all expect them to be just horseshit? Like, will that be the time you move on? And my perspective was this. I think you would do a better job if saving your job is ultimately the goal. I think you're better off starting Jackson Dart from the beginning, taking your lumps early, and saying, hey, man, from the second half of the season to the end of it, all of a sudden we were a 500 team and Jackson Dart just made leaps and bounds in growth. And all of a sudden you look at it going, man, continuity, the way they played at the end of the year, they've got a really good defense. They started running the ball a little bit better. Jackson Dart's an athlete. We can use some of that RPO game. We can use some of that zone read game. Like, all of a sudden, I would look at that and go, if I'm the owner, going, man, we got a good thing coming down the last 8 weeks. But if you wait till week 8 or week 9 and then you put him in, well, he's probably going to shit in his helmet. Yeah. Like, it's probably not going to be great. And I kept using the Broncos as a litmus test because we live here in Denver. Bo Nix, the first 4 or 5 weeks, was not that good. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't great. But was there not a huge, like, you saw it, right? Yep. There was a huge growth over the second half of the season, and they got into the playoffs. Like, that's why I think you're better off if you're saving your job, you're better off starting Jackson Dart week 1.
But I think you got to take into account the schedule here for the Giants, and maybe the schedule isn't the best thing if you're trying to work in a rookie quarterback and not have him lose his confidence. Maybe you kind of send Russell Wilson out there as the sacrificial lamb, because you're talking about at the Commanders, at the Cowboys, home against the Chiefs, home against the Chargers, then at the Saints, but then home against the Eagles, at the Broncos, and then at the Eagles. And then you got the 49. I mean, it's just it's a murderer's row right through there. So look, Russell Wilson, good luck. You're going to be the starter. Rent, don't own, because unless he just plays exceptionally well, they're going to lose a lot of football games, and you're just going to hear the cries all around New York. Let's get Jackson Dart in there.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's why I said, hey, man, the schedule doesn't get any easier.
Right.
I mean, the schedule's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, obviously, you play in the NFC East, right? And I expect the Cowboys to be a better football team with Dak Prescott being healthy. They won, 7 games last year, and Dak Prescott missed a large portion of the season. And they didn't give up, man. They played their asses off toward the end of the year. So you've got Washington, and in all the games they won so many one-score games, and Jaden Daniels drove them in the last drives and all those different things. They may come back to the pack a little bit, but they're a good football team. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles probably have the best roster in football. So, I guess my philosophy is different. And this isn't just, I'll be honest, it's not just about Russell Wilson and what happened here in Denver, and I play into that a lot because it drove me crazy, and I understand, and I think people understand why. The people in Seattle, people here in Denver understand why. Does he give you the best chance, a better chance to win early? Probably. But do I really think he's going to save Brian Dable's job? No. I don't. And so my thought process is, again, use the Broncos as a litmus test. Remember, when they came into the league last year, or when they came into the season last year, ESPN, the analytic geeks, had them ranked as the 31st best roster in football. And what happened? They started winning some games. Bo Nix came along, and this year going into the season, they're ranked as the 6th best roster. So again, that was just my thought process. And it could be wrong. Like, Giant fans hate me, so they're like, "You're an idiot." Yeah, maybe, but I know one thing. I mean, I just watched it play out here in Denver.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson now is in that classic bridge quarterback, backup quarterback type world now, and really he's just a holding the seat warm for Jackson Dart. It's inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if, Jackson Dart takes over. And
plus, Jackson Dart's got a great name.
Right?
Jackson Dart is really, like, when you start thinking about great names in the NFL, like, that's a great name.
It is.
Jackson Dart.
Dart for quarterback?
Right. I mean, just for anybody, like a receiver, Jackson Dart would be a great.
True.
Darting in and out. Running back. Like, there's some great, like, ball breaker, right? Like, that would be, like, if your name was ball breaker. Wasn't
there a linebacker out of Notre Dame? Stonebreaker, yes.
Stonebreaker.
Remember him?
Yes. There was, like, there was some great, there's, like, guys that, like, that dude should just be an NFL player, just based on name alone.
One more, 6 degrees of Justin Fields here. Mm-hmm. Both Fields and Russ were in Pittsburgh. Life now moves on with Aaron Rodgers. I think people are still kind of trying to wrap their mind around the idea of Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers, and we know the Steelers are going to be solid, right?
Correct.
They'll be solid, but can they be great with Aaron Rodgers?
It's an interesting question, right? Can Aaron Rodgers be healthy? Can Aaron Rodgers, there is no question when you watch him throw the ball, especially live, dude, it's just elite level arm talent. I mean, it is unbelievable how it comes out of his hand. Bam. And so then it becomes, do I believe Aaron Rodgers can eviscerate you from the pocket? Yeah. Do I believe that he doesn't run and move quite like he used to? Yeah. Do you have to? No, you don't. Right? If you can run the ball, if you can create protection opportunities to where he doesn't have to move around a lot, or if he moves around, it's just scrambling within the pocket. I believe all those things. I think it was a huge move to go get Jonnu Smith. He was with Miami. John O. Smith was with the offensive coordinator
Arthur Smith
in Atlanta.
Yep.
Right, so I think that's a huge move. I think when you have a 2 tight end set, which they'll play in a lot, I'm assuming, with Freiermuth and Smith, like that's a big time control the middle of the football field, create matchups, and it makes defenses like, are we going to play him big nickel? Are we going to play him base? Because those 2 guys can run the seams, those 2 guys can get open, and you're going to get a mismatch somewhere on the football field with those 2 guys inside. So I think you'll see a ton of exploitation of 12 personnel, and basically what is the defense going to try? And if you're going to play us small, in nickel or dime, man, we're going to cram it down your throat. So I think it's a good situation in Pittsburgh. DK Metcalf there. I think that's really good. Robert Woods is there now. Robert Woods is a consummate professional as a wide receiver, long in the tooth, but does everything well. Will block you. Like, he still knows how to play. And then I love, obviously, they get T.J. Watt done to the biggest contract outside of quarterback in the history of the NFL. That's big time. Like, T.J. Watt is a problem, and I like them going out. I think they got Dre Bly from Philadelphia. I think he can still play. They went out and
not Dre Bly.
Oh yeah. Slay. Yeah. Darius Slay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Back to my Detroit days.
Yes.
Thank you. Darius Slay from Philadelphia. I have lost.
That's okay.
I've lost my mind.
You took a lot of hits.
Yeah. And then they got, I was on a roll. Don't stop me when I'm on a roll.
I know.
Like, you just correct me. After I'm done with the roll,
all right, sorry.
You go back.
Dre Bly, what a pickup.
Yeah, what a pickup. Okay. And Jaylen Ramsey, and there are a lot of people that sit there and say, well, Jaylen Ramsey, he lost a step. He's not an elite cover guard. Like, the biggest issue with Jaylen Ramsey, he's been on, 4 teams? Means he's a pain in the ass. Yeah. He's a pain in the ass, and now all of a sudden, maybe the production doesn't meet the pain, and that's why he moves around a bit. But I will say this, in Miami, he was doing a lot of things for the Dolphins. He was playing outside corner. He was playing in the nickel. He was playing dime sometimes. He was a big-time blitzer, edge rush. Like, he did a lot of things. They're talking about moving him to safety. And they've had in Pittsburgh a lot of success when they moved Woodson from outside corner to safety, and the guy was phenomenal. They also, back in the day, they did it with Charles Woodson as well. So it's been done before, and that guy can still, that guy's a football player, man. Can he trigger and be a run support guy? I believe that he can. He could still be a middle of the field eraser at the safety position. So I just think they've made a lot of really good acquisitions, and it really comes down to, can you keep Aaron Rodgers upright and healthy? And the other thing I loved about this offseason with Aaron, and you hate all the bullshit that goes with it, right? Like, the pensive look on the beach in Malibu. Like, hey, paparazzi, I'm going to be out on the beach in Malibu. Take a picture of me. Showing up, not speaking of Malibu, showing up in the Chevy Malibu, under incognito, like, here I come into the, oh, I didn't know it was Aaron Rodgers. He rented a Malibu. Nobody could ever recognize it. Is he sitting in the car? So, all that stuff is like, oh my gosh, this guy again.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, at the end of last season, man, the guy played great. The guy is as sharp, as smart as anybody that's ever played the game. I mean, that guy understands football, and he can still sling it, man. If they're healthy and they take the pressure off of him and they run the ball well, I think Pittsburgh can be a problem.
Aaron Rodgers, he's just one of those guys, right? I mean, just blessed, just a thunderbolt for an arm, right? Like you just said, just crazy arm talent. And there are a lot of other quarterbacks around the NFL. They're not as blessed, right? They got to work at it. They got to work at refining their craft and mechanics and all that. We found out from Sean Payton here in Denver that Bo Nix this offseason spent time both with Tom House, the noted quarterback mechanic guru,
right,
and also he spent 4 or 5 days with Drew Brees, which certainly perked my ears up because, right from the moment that Sean drafted Bo Nix, I couldn't help but feel, hey, he may see his next Breeze in Bo, and now Bo's spending time with Drew Brees. I mean, it's not hard to connect the dots here.
Not at all. And I love the whole connection, not only from an understanding of football standpoint. Like the great players and the guys who have longevity in the league understand the game globally. Like quarterbacks, like I think a lot of fans think that you're looking at the routes. Like the routes are indelibly marked in your mind. You know what curl flat is, right? You know the curl's coming back at 12 yards. He's hitting 12 yards. He's working back down the stem, right, to the quarterback, right, showing him his chest. You know if we're running a basic, that basic's going to hit it 12 to 14 yards, cut across the field. You know if it's man, that guy's going to keep running. If it's zone, he's going to sit down. So you have that indelibly marked in your mind where the receivers are supposed to be, right? Each guy throughout your progression, whether it's an across-the-board read, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, check down, whatever, or whether it's one side of the field or the other. Hey, man, this concept is made for, an access throw, cover 3 or cover 1, where this side of the field is double slants in case we get cover 2, right? So you know exactly what's going on. So the quarterbacks are dropping back. They're not reading the receivers. They know that shit. That's done. They're reading the coverage. They're reading who am I putting in conflict? Does the overhang player run with the flat or does he sink to the curl? Like that's what you're reading. And so like to sit there and say to Drew Brees, if you're Bo Nix, hey man, I really struggled with this concept. Mm-hmm. Like, how did you read this out? Because it's the same offense, right? It's the offense that Drew Brees ran. Obviously, you put new wrinkles in every year and stuff, but the basic concepts are the basic concepts. So to be able to sit down and talk to him, and then longevity. I know you had the shoulder injury. How did you work through that? What did you do? The Tom House stuff. Like Tom House works with just about everybody in the National Football League.
And in a nutshell, he's what? He's just kind of
so mechanics, arm talent, guru,
arm preservation guru,
right?
Yeah,
and remember, he's the guy that caught Hank Aaron's 715th homer or whatever it was. He was in the bullpen,
big league pitcher.
Big league pitcher. My son has worked. Everybody's worked with him. My son worked with Tom House. Tom House. There's a reason that Tom Brady threw the ball better at 40 than he did at 28. Yep. And a lot of that is Tom House. It's about foot energy, foot mechanics, lower body mechanics translating to arm talent, like to the way you throw the ball, how you stay closed on the front side so that you throw it accurately and the same all the time. Like all those things, that's what Tom House does. And so that to me is big time. Again, when you start to understand the game more globally, man, you can, work smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. And to see the quarterback that plays here in Denver reaching out to a guy like Drew Brees saying, hey, man, can you sit down and talk? Can you help me out? That's huge.
That is huge. And the other benefit for Bo Nix, he's got an offensive line that a lot of the pundits out there, the national rankings, has the Broncos with, I've seen as high as number 2, even number 1, but really comfortably slotted in the top 3 offensive lines in all the NFL.
Yeah, I would say.
I would say pump your brakes. That's the look I was sensing there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think they're good. They didn't run the ball exceptionally well last year. Bo Nix was their second leading rusher, blah, blah, blah. I don't think either. I think both their tackles are good. I think Bolsey's a good tackle. He's an unbelievable athlete. I think McGlinchey's a good tackle. But I wouldn't put them, like if you're talking Mailata and Lane, and they're not close to that. Or you're talking Penei Sewell in Detroit with Decker. Like that's a better tandem of tackles. Like, you start thinking about tackles and you think about, like, I think automatically Trent Williams, you go back in the day with Orlando Pace, or you go back Walter Jones, Jonathan Ogden, for crying out loud, biggest Jonathan Ogden. I remember playing in the Pro Bowl with Jonathan Ogden and just getting mesmerized. First off, he's 6'8". He's got his head makes your head look dainty.
Really?
Like his head is it is ginormous. And I was sitting there, like I'm in at practice with Jonathan Ogden by me. I'm playing left guard. He's playing left tackle. And I completely mesmerized. I'm talking to him about like what we're doing, like the slide or whatever. And all I can focus on is his teeth.
What's wrong with his teeth?
Dude, they're giant. They're like playing cards. Like I could see the one-eyed jack on one of his teeth. I was like, hey man, I mean, it is like literally they're giant. I was like, hey, let me have your teeth. I'm gonna shuffle them, deal them out, right? Like blackjack. It just is like the dude is ginormous, and his movement skills are off the charts. So would I put the Broncos? Okay, could they creep in the top 10 for me? Sure. I like Quinn Miners. I think he's a physical guy at the point of attack. I like him, but the one or two or three, I'm not like, let's pump the brakes on that. Maybe 10. I
got to give you credit. You once again have broken new ground for me. I've never heard anybody talk about somebody's teeth, the size of their teeth, like playing cards.
Hey man, I played against Howie Long many times. Well, not many times, but several times when he was with the Raiders and I was with the Redskins, and impeccable teeth. Impeccable. And they weren't big like playing cards. They were just perfect. And he always he had this look on him, right? And he played like that. And his teeth were always out. And they were pearly white, not a stain on them. Must not drink coffee. And I was like, I would get into my stance and go, and I would think to myself, don't look at his teeth, don't look at his teeth, don't look at his teeth. And I don't know, it attracted me. Right to the teeth. You'd be like, damn, those teeth are perfect. Like, this guy's a great football player. How can he have such good teeth? And back in my day, nobody wore a mouthpiece.
No?
No.
Oh.
Nobody wore mouthpieces. I mean, probably
tough.
No, probably a few guys, but a few guys did, but most of the guys. That's why my teeth are so bad right now. I think I got fractures and I had to have teeth removed, and I'm like a real hillbilly. So missing teeth.
You gotta be a snaggletooth.
Crown over here, a fake tooth over here. That's what happens to you.
That's what happens to you. Hey, last thing. Speaking of Washington, Terry McLaurin, unhappy, hold out, not even hold out, not happy with his current contract situation. You've done enough Washington games over the years. Does Washington need to be careful with a guy like McLaurin? He strikes me from afar as being kind of one of those, heartbeat guys, heart and soul type guys, glue guys.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to mess around with a dude like that, do you?
He is so respected within that community, but also within that football team. And it's really interesting. Speaking of Terry, Scary Terry, I think he's a third rounder out of Ohio State. But he's one of the few guys. I think he's one of the only guys, maybe two or three guys, that have 1,000 yards receiving in 5 straight seasons. And think about all the different quarterbacks he's done it with. And I have done several different games, Washington games, where defensive coordinators have told me this dude. As a matter of fact, speaking of Dre Bly. It wasn't Dre Bly, but speaking of Darius Slay told me point blank, dude is torn. Like, the dude is, I struggle. There's certain guys you struggle with. Mm-hmm. Terry McLaurin, I've had several defensive coordinators tell me, man, that's the one dude that you have to shut down. He's the one guy that can just run by you, lift the top of coverage, get over the top, to make. He still comes into the middle of the football field, catches, like, can do every route, like on the route tree. He is a difference maker. He's probably one of the most underrated players in the National Football League because he's played in Washington, where they have been irrelevant up until last year. And so, with the changes in Washington, with the new ownership, with Dan Quinn coming in and taking things over, man, they are a really good football team. And Terry McLaurin is really kind of the heartbeat of that locker room. So that's one of those dudes you got to be careful with. I always say this about a locker room. There's certain guys you can mess with. There's certain guys you don't want to touch. There are certain guys that mean so much to an organization, to the players within that organization. If you screw those guys, it's a signal to everybody else in the locker room. If they're going to do it to him, they're going to do it to me. And it just creates tension between upstairs and downstairs.
You know Dan Quinn really well. He gets all that, right?
He totally understands it. But I would just say this for Washington. I'm sure they're working on it. It needs to get done.
Yeah.
And that guy needs to be. I'm not saying you got to make him the highest paid guy. I'm not saying he jumps. He jumps Justin Jefferson, or he jumps
Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb,
right? But I am saying that dude, whatever that first tier of guys is, then you knock it down one. That's where he comes in.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, we'll see what happens, and camps are open. Here we go.
I know football is here, and it'll be here for the next, 7 months or so. So lock in, people. For everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, for Mike Evans, I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Enjoy it. And I tell you what, when the season starts to roll around, guys, we're going to ramp up the podcast a little bit. So we're going to go to 3 days a week. We're going to do a lot of different things. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share it with everybody. We appreciate you guys, and we'll be back with you next week.